Cool. I have like no idea what I'm doing. Okay.
Match found.
Okay.
Will they try the same old tricks? Where are you?
Yes, Mouthy, I'm unironically doing drugs. You have one viewer. Thank you, Mouthy. You're so great. I'm not. I'm not lonely. Hey, did you wanna hop in Discord? I was about to jump in there once Alex got on. Okay, 3 viewers. The funny thing is 2 of them are me because I have my phone over here so I can see the chat, and then I have this one up over here so I put my TV up here. So yeah, I'm 2 of my own viewers. Don't judge me. All right, I'm in the Discord whenever you join. So I got tired of reading Plato, so I decided I'd just start reading all of Capital. So now instead of Plato on my desk, it's just this big ass fucking book. Oh fuck, that fell. Fuck. Valorant is not a game I can like play while trying to talk, I'm not gonna lie. Shit. Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me. Mouthy. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing alright, Noah. How are you? I'm doing alright, Isocratic. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I got
That's
all
good.
this streaming shit figured out, I think.
You got what figured out?
I think I have all the streaming stuff figured out, so there may be some
That's
like some
amazing.
lag still. I tried to like get the lag as little as possible, but
Mm.
I eventually gave up and I was like, I don't know how like laggy their like streams usually are and how they're not, so it's good enough. It's good enough. But then we can stream CancelCon because I just think that's gonna be hilarious.
Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, I was just talking about CancelCon. Like I figured all
Oh,
this
yeah,
out because I was
CancelCon.
like excited about that because I think that'll be funny as fuck.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to get BTFO'd by Ben Shapiro like live.
With facts and logic.
Yeah, it's gonna be brutal, man. Fuck.
You know, I'm like anti-canceling, but Ben Shapiro makes me want to be pro-canceling.
Yeah. I mean, in some cases it's warranted, I guess. So, like, it is funny though, like, that of all the people who can, like, claim to have been canceled, I don't think any of them are, like,
It's all the
fucking
people who get,
millionaires.
yeah, they all get fucking paid to like talk. Like, what do you mean you're getting canceled? You're literally making money off of being able to like express your political views. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Fucking going, making, like, fucking $1 million talking at an event that, like, fucking millions of people are watching. Like, guys, I'm so canceled. Holy shit.
Yeah, do you know, I think his name's like No Fuckers or something like that.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. He did like edgy content back in the day with like I think he was like friends with Pyrocynical, if you know who that is. But he put out something like recently and he said like there's this weird like worshipping of Russia that a lot of conservatives have, and he's like y'all are fucking like pansies. Y'all don't know what canceling is. Like you getting removed from Twitter or YouTube isn't canceling. He's like that's just capitalism. In Russia, you get canceled. You say some of the shit some of y'all say, and you're literally put in fucking like prison. So I don't want to hear anything about y'all's fucking like cancel culture or like
Yeah,
the left is canceling too many people or something. Which we do like have
yeah,
like a little bit of like going after people's jobs. I think is like fucked up, but like in the way that
yeah,
those people complain about it as if they can't speak is like ridiculous.
yeah. I mean, I do think that the troubling thing is I think there's an intelligent conversation to be had. Holy shit, my floors are fucking creaky as fuck. I think there's an intelligent conversation to be had about cancel culture, you know, what it should be defined as, if we should even use the term, you know, where it comes from, why it exists, and you know why it may be a good or bad thing. But it just bums me out because like this potentially really interesting and intelligent conversation has just been so like aggressively co-opted by like the most brain dead fucking right wing dipshits. I guess it's just really unfortunate.
Sure. You gotta make. I had a chat box on here, but it's not fucking working.
Damn,
Damn, whatever.
fuck. Sucks that I can't see all of my messages.
Oh my
Match found.
Yeah, I just think it's fucking like nuts. After I saw that video, I don't know, because he like it got on like BreadTube like Reddit or whatever, and the way he was like talking about how all these people were like pansies, and he was like, y'all don't even, you conservatives don't know. He's like, some of the shit y'all say would get you imprisoned. Like,
Yeah,
what you get a little bit of like hate on YouTube, and even at that though, like even if they do get hate, like we just said, they fucking get paid like
yeah,
more money than I could imagine fucking making.
yeah. Like unironically, like I don't know, like it just feels like if you're that insulated from like the consequences of this shit, like I don't really have a lot of sympathy if like you're like, oh, people are being mean online. It's like then just don't look at what they say. Like that's what I do. You think I mean sometimes I'll look in my comments, but like recently like I just don't look at shit that people say because I think like most people who react to like anything that I do are generally going to be like pretty stupid.
Yeah, there's
Um,
always like there's also on all these social medias the block button and the mute button, and you can literally just not one, you can just not pay attention to it, or two, you can literally keep yourself from seeing it. So like I don't really think there's a need to like go out and like cancel people, which is why I think it's really funny. Is like the people who I think would be complaining about cancel culture or whatever aren't like, as much as they may to an extent, like it's just weird. The people who are hosting CancelCon are like literally the people I would expect to think that we have free like hella free speech and we're trying to like maintain it because like I said, like they're getting paid more than I can imagine just to fucking talk about like reactionary shit. And whenever like I don't know, I can't get over the perspective of like when I was watching that video where the dude was just like, yeah, if y'all talked like that, you would literally be imprisoned. Like, what are you like talking about?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like, I think there's a little bit of like mob like problems, like people on social media, like mob like coming out as a mob to like completely destroy someone and then going and finding their like job and getting them fired. Like, I think that's like problematic, and in one way, that's how cancel culture is bad. But like the conservatives in the U.S. have it like pretty okay. I mean, they can say like some pretty fashy like sometimes hinting at like Nazi shit and like not really pay much for it. Especially if they
Yeah,
have like
for
a
sure.
big enough like platform.
Yeah, 100%.
Like Milo, for example, like he doesn't like he's banned off of like everything, but he's still like slightly relevant, which is crazy. Like I mean,
Yeah, and that's the thing with Milo is like I don't know, like a lot of people are like, huh, Milo's career was built because he was canceled, but it's like I don't think so. Like, people say that like Milo's like career was destroyed because people like on the left like got him canceled or whatever, and it's like, not really. I feel like Milo's career more or less was built by people on the left trying to cancel him, and I think that the only thing that really fucked him in the end was the fact that he got dropped from all of his like right wing donors for fucking
Yeah, it's just
endorsing
it's less
pedophilia.
about like his like actually getting canceled and more just like the funds that he was getting to like have that speech or like continue like broadcasting that went away. Like, and I would say like the left's attempt to cancel him like projected him. I mean, it was like the like look at all the snowflakes who are mad, like
For sure.
kind of like shit. I
I don't
mean,
know. It's kind of weird because like I don't know like what the underlying logic is. It seems that sometimes like canceling has had quote unquote canceling has had the effect of like making someone like rise to stardom because oh look at all of these lefty snowflakes who hate free speech trying to cancel me. They must be afraid of my really smart ideas. And that's like Milo Yiannopoulos. Like I think that's largely what built his career. But then on the other hand, you have people like Nick Fuentes, who essentially has been fading into irrelevance due to the fucking like his deplatforming from YouTube.
yeah.
And I don't know because maybe the underlying logic there is like if you get like if you are like doing a speech at like a campus like what Milo used to try to do, um, and then like a bunch of lefties show up and they start protesting and screaming, throwing shit. That's really bad optics for the left. So I think someone like Milo can utilize those optics and be like, see, they're trying to shut me down. Whereas if your channel just gets like silently removed from YouTube, you can't really blame that on the left. Like that's just you like saying too many gamer words because you're not smart enough to dog whistle and then getting banned
Yeah,
because of
it's
it.
all about like the uproar and the attention the left like gives to it. Like if we were to silently like say a report like an account or something and not make a big fuss out of it, they would just like disappear without like the whole look at them trying to get me like, and then all the right wingers coming to like their defense or whatever and then blowing them way out of proportion, which is like what I think like Milo was able to do. He was able to like harness the outrage and pull the whole like, oh, it's a bunch of snowflakes. But if we were just did, I mean, like it happens all the time. There's tons of accounts that like say like the gamer like bunch of gamer words and then they just get reported and they're gone. And I think that like works a lot better than like the like the reaction that we see in like the SJW compilations that people put on YouTube where people like freak out. It's just bad optics.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better for some of these universities to perhaps just not even allow people like that to begin with, because I think Milo even like openly said multiple times that like he never really cared for like having a good faith conversation. He would just go there on purpose, expecting this to happen.
Yeah, because he could like get people like riled up and mad, and it would boost his popularity. And if they would just like understood that Milo was bad faith from the beginning, they could just not let him be there, and he wouldn't get the uproar. Like maybe he would try to take advantage of like say the university not allowing him, but I think that's way less impactful than like getting a bunch of footage of all these like really mad like lefties or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I think it's kind of like this. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of like looking, trying to figure out like, wasn't like there were other figures outside of Milo that had similar issues but never blew up like Milo, like Charles Murray. Charles Murray, like even though he is still like a major figure, he's not as like massive as Milo is.
I guess, but I think that's sort of like Milo's character just sort of like so smoothly played into like the 2016 like vibe. Like I mean Milo was really playing into that like, oh look at these triggered snowflakes, they can't handle my funny and smart jokes. And I feel like he really appealed to like the anti-SJW crowd, like aesthetically, whereas someone like Charles Murray is just like a fucking pathetic old uncharismatic racist who nobody really cares about.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it wasn't.
I think the
It,
thing
it
with
wasn't.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, like Charles Murray, it wasn't just that he was a racist. It wasn't just that oftentimes he was very bad faith, and like even the academics knew like immediately who he was and not to allow him. It was also the fact that he was just deeply uncharismatic, like painfully uncharismatic at times.
Yeah, for sure.
I think also though Milo hit like a point, like Mouthy, you and I were talking about this yesterday
Mhm.
about the sort of like not allowing any sort of edginess on the left or whatever. And
Mm.
I think there was like a point that Milo could kind of exploit there, is that like he could kind of appeal to those types because he's like, look, these people don't like your jokes. They don't like your sense of like humor whatsoever. You have to be super PC like over and over, which then I think drew in like people who necessarily wouldn't be like followers of Milo to become like followers of Milo
Yeah.
because it became like a space where they could like, I don't know, make like a casual 9/11 joke or something.
Yeah.
I think it also was reflective of how people interpreted humor and intelligence. Like, if you were like an edgy 16, 17-year-old at the time, you probably also like grew up on people like Richard Dawkins or uh who was that other guy who was like really famous?
Was it a new
Albert.
atheist guy or?
No, it wasn't a new atheist guy. He was like a very controversial debater like back
Mm.
then, and it was like, and I'm trying to remember what his name was. Richard Hitchens. That's what it was. Hitchens.
Oh wait, Christopher Hitchens?
Yeah, Christopher Hitchens.
Okay.
People like that who are like extremely controversial but
Mm.
very intelligent and could easily be charismatic. And many people mistaken the fact that they were edgy as like evidence of their intelligence and charisma. So when they saw someone like Milo, who was charismatic and was edgy, they mistaken that as some form of intelligence and thought, "Oh yeah, this guy is like the next Hitchens," which fucking Bill
Well,
Moore said, like
well,
stuff
well,
like that. Was
yeah.
happening.
I mean, that's certainly true. I just feel like the mood of 2016 and the mood of like anti-SJW YouTube is essentially like all the anti-SJW wave ever was a bunch of dumb fucks who like thought that owning the libs is like the only political goal worth pursuing. Like these motherfuckers would like cheer on like an Adolf Hitler speech if it got like the libs triggered. And it's just like I guess they just would eat up whoever was able to do that, regardless of like how intelligent their analysis actually was. Which is just really sad, I guess. That
That's
well, at
why we
least that's how I
gotta.
felt at the time. I haven't done a lot of like retrospection or anything.
That's why we have to tell people that if you go like left enough, you get to own the libs again. Become a
Yeah.
commie and you get to own the libs.
Becoming a commie to own the libs.
Dude, that's what I tell like a lot of the good old boys down the south. If you go far left enough, you get your guns back. If you
True.
go far left enough, you get your guns back, and you get to use them on libs. Not now, but later.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft. In Minecraft.
God.
Listen, they want to take. Listen, they
Fucking
want
Jesus
listen.
Christ, dude. Holy shit.
libs.
You're gonna get me
the
fucking canceled.
libs. They don't
Here's
just
a
want
clip
to
of
take away
Mouth
your
the Infidel laughing as someone else mentions killing liberals.
Oh my god.
Listen, it sucks here in the South. It really does because the libs down here are pinnacle at times. Pinnacle, like stereotypical East Coast, like very educated, like identity politics driven people sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's so painful sometimes, like really painful. And
For
it
sure.
the only way you can ever like get someone who is somewhat like a liberal leaning person to get elected down here is always going to be like this conservative Democrat.
Match found.
Yeah, I get that. I live in Texas. It's great.
Dude, that's why we need. That's why, like, I really do think, like, I firmly believe it's a 3 Gs. If you want to get like elected to any political position in the South, the 3 Gs, which is God, guns, and gays. And we're getting to a point in society where like no one cares if you're gay or not. So that's 1 G down. You can probably get elected as like an open socialist or even communist in some places if you would just die hard like NRA dipshit and like
That's like where
are-
Beto like really messed up. Like in Texas, like being anti-gun, that's like the worst like
yeah.
political move you could do. Like
Oh, yeah,
he
like, there was
just
a-
committed political suicide by being anti-gun in Texas.
Yeah, and like also perhaps being like a big Bible thumper, like someone who is firmly into the Bible. And you can definitely like spin that around to like, and that's why some places like DSA is very popular. Like,
That's actually the
it's
case
like-
though, like in a lot of places other than just Texas. Like some sort of religious like or some sort of spiritual sort of aspect of like politicians seems to be like super popular. Like I don't really think there's like is there anyone like in Congress that considers themselves an atheist really? I can't think of
Um,
one.
there are a handful.
No, and
There are a
that's the
handful.
interesting thing is like me and Alex were talking about this the other day, and it's really interesting how like if someone were to say like come out and say that like atheists as a group of people are like oppressed, most lefties would like laugh at that and be like, yeah, okay, you're not oppressed because you fucking read The God Delusion when you were 13 like everyone else, dude. But it's like, I don't know, like especially in other parts of the world, like, and even in America, like I think more people said that they would vote for like a Muslim or a socialist as opposed to an atheist, which like is kind of fucking crazy to me. Like not in that like I think that like we should like an atheist would be better than a Muslim or a socialist, obviously, but just in the sense that like I know how the American public generally feels about Islam and about socialism, but like they think that atheism is even worse, and that's just fucking wild to me.
Yeah, I've
But
had
yeah, I
I've had
don't
a
know.
similar conversation with Alex where he just talked about how like underrepresented like atheists are, like especially in government. It's just weird. Like
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's just because like it's hard to get away from like religion, and to a lot of people it's super important. So you could have all
mean-
the right policies, and then just being an atheist can really like make someone like think twice.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that is a good point. Like atheists or underrepresented. Like being represented implies there's some kind of like policy or some kind of like mindset you would bring to Congress.
I think there kind of is, right?
I mean, there might be, but what
Yeah,
exactly atheist policies would you bring?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not necessarily like atheist policies. I guess it would more so be like I guess like an atheist mindset.
It's just a different
If-
point of view.
Yeah,
Sure.
and like I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the like the rhetoric that people use, like even Democratic politicians about like, oh, you know, God bless America, and you know, God is, you know, like leading our country. Like I feel like that a lot of that rhetoric can be like really, really harmful, because I just get really weird about us like wrapping up our politics or involving our politics with like weird religious shit. It just makes me like super uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think like atheist also would definitely be like more secular, because we see like, for instance, in the Republican Party, there's definitely like religious influence, and I feel like you'd have like which I feel like kind of fogs the mind a little bit when it comes to like policy. Like, for instance, when people were like against gay marriage, I mean, that seems to stem from like some sort of religious like beliefs, like the traditional religious beliefs or whatever, and like having some atheist in like Congress would be good to kind of combat that at least a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I like the general sense I get from the left community is I feel like so I feel like we had this like new atheist thing, right? Like the new atheist wave in like I don't know, fucking like 20 like the early 2000s, where you had like Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins, and everyone loved them, and everyone was uploading like Sam Harris destroys stupid fucking religtard on like there's all this kinds of things, and it was like the anti-SJW movement, but atheist. um and I sort of like I get that was annoying, and I get that a lot of the people involved with that engaged in some really harmful rhetoric about Islam, about in the case of Sam Harris, about American foreign policy in the case of Christopher Hitchens, about stuff like feminism in the case of Richard Dawkins, and like I get that. I think a lot of those new atheist types were, I'm not going to say stupid, but acted in very stupid ways on a lot of issues. And so I get like the aversion to that. But I feel like there's sort of been an overcorrection where now people are like, yeah, fuck the new atheist. Religion is actually good. And it's like, let's hold on for a minute. Because I think there's actually a lot of validity to the idea that religion is generally like objectively just a poison on society. Like that seems pretty accurate, and like there can definitely be certain instances in which religions manifest in net positive ways, but I think in general, any case wherein you're basing how you act on fundamentally irrational premises and irrational axioms, I think generally speaking, that's going to manifest in bad ways as opposed to if this thing didn't exist. I guess I explained that like really badly, but that's sort of like the way
I
that I
get
look
you.
at it.
Like, because these people's religious values are going to influence the way they push for certain policies, what they like come to,
Yeah.
like what conclusions they come to on certain problems and things like that. And it's kind of like, I'm not gonna say it would overthrow our secularism because I wouldn't say it has, but it definitely combats it. Like it's definitely like, I mean, I would say like for instance, the U.S. is like pretty heavily Christian, and in some aspects you can probably see that within like the way some of our legislation is written and things like that. Even though we're pretty secular, but I feel like it's just like it's always gonna be something that's combating like us maintaining being secular.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said about how like one of the first things you said interests me because it reminded me of like okay, so one of the big critiques of capitalism that I levy is that essentially the profit motive sort of acts as a distortion, if that makes sense. Like, if you were to draw a Venn diagram of all the things that are produced under capitalism that are useful, or not even just the things that are produced under capitalism, but if you were to draw a Venn diagram of all the things that are useful and all of the things that are profitable, there's definitely going to be some overlap. So like, for example, obviously I'm wearing a shirt right now. I find it pretty useful. Some capitalist out there found it pretty profitable to make the shirt. So that's like a win-win, right? But on the other hand, there's going to be some places where there is an overlap. So you're going to have instances where something is profitable, but it's not good for society. So under capitalism, it gets produced anyways, such as like carbon emissions, stuff like that. Things that hurt the environment. And on the other hand, you're going to have things that would be good for society but aren't produced because they aren't profitable to produce. So like, for example, giving everybody healthcare would be a good example of that. And it just seems like if you want a society that produces for the maximum amount of usefulness and utility, having a system that works on the basis of profit is always going to add a distortionary effect. And I think it's like a similar thing with religion, because I think like our aim as a society should be to understand reality as firmly as possible and try to orient ourselves based on what we understand reality to be. And I feel like religion, which just like adds in this a lot of like really batshit premises about the nature of reality, sort of distorts our ability to engage in reality in a way that is accurate and beneficial, I guess. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like generally the
and
argument.
that'll like end up affecting like the legislation we pass and like the culture we manifest and all of these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like for example, like imagine, okay, so like imagine like a secular like moral worldview, right? um I would say that from like a purely logical like secular perspective, there's no way that I could justify in a vacuum like just throwing like a gay person off a rooftop, or killing a woman for I don't know, like cheating on her husband or something like that. Like I couldn't justify that. However, if I bought into the premise that, say, the Bible is valid and the Bible says I should do those things, then all of a sudden I can justify that. So it's like, if you distort people's view of reality, you're distorting how their moral axioms manifest in reality, which inevitably is going to lead to scenarios wherein people are being harmed unnecessarily because we've allowed this, weird, misconstrued understanding of reality to manifest in our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, that's I think that's why like it's just why, for instance, with like a lot of conservatives, since they're usually pretty like religious. I mean, it's why, like, I brought up the gay marriage example, for instance, why people were like against that. It wasn't based on anything in like actual like reality. It was purely based on some like religious text that we can't even like say was actually written by God or whatever. Um, yeah, it just ends up
I
with like a
mean,
bunch of like illogical sort of things happening.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to talk about the harmful effects of the religious justifications for actions, I mean, look at the QAnon movement. I mean, 99% of those people are deeply religious. And if you already base a lot of your morals or or a lot of your beliefs on faith, what stops you from just basing, say, your politics on faith? What stops you from just saying, oh yeah, Donald Trump is fighting a evil cabal of pedophiles, uh, and they are headed by Hillary Clinton, and they're all going to be arrested at any moment. I mean, you don't need any evidence to believe in that stuff. You just need faith, because again, you've already based a lot of your worldviews on faith already. So why not this? And that's why right now QAnon is not only in the United States, but it's now being exported to places like Germany and even Africa. Like the other day, I spoke to someone who had like their grandparents in Kenya who were like QAnoners, and it was just bizarre to me how like that was happening.
Yeah, I don't think it's any surprise that conspiracy like theorist types tend to coincide with like being religious. Like these two things seem to go hand in hand a lot. And I think it's right about like it's all based upon faith. Like if you can believe certain, like if you get your moral system based upon some faith in like a book, I mean, what's wrong with like just having faith that something else is right without having the
Yeah,
like any
if
sort of evidence of it? Because I mean, you do that for like your whole like existence, like everything that you existed, you believe something that you can't prove. So why can't you just give that to everything? And I think
yeah, like if you believe God wrote a Bible that had an answer to everything, then you're gonna believe some 4chaner has an answer for everything for politics every now and then. You're gonna believe that as just as much.
yeah, he'll be like,
And
oh, they
that's
don't
sort of
want y'all
like
to
a
know this, and then you'll be like, oh shoot, they don't want me to know this. This must be real, just like how they don't want me to read the Bible. Those darn atheists or whatever. Like, yeah, it's same mindset.
And one thing that
it just
has like
feels. Oh, sorry.
one thing that has gotten me like right now I'm taking a sociology and deviance, and one of the things I really want to research is how, like, when organized religion was coming up, how elites being defined as the kings and nobles back then would use religion as a form of putting down like peasant revolts, or use religion as a form of labeling certain religious beliefs as deviant as a excuse to put them down. And because that's also another thing, like we kind of look past, not only is religion used as an opium for the masses, it's quite literally used as an antibody for the masses. Whenever you have, say, peasants looking at you and saying, hey, why do you have all this gold while we starve? You can just say, I have the divine right of king. And hey, look, the Pope says so, so why don't you believe me? Hey, you're a heretic because you keep on deviating from religious views.
I think another big issue is like one of the big issues with like the concept of religion for me, or like one of the things that I haven't been able to reconcile, is it feels like so I feel like ideally the goal in order to maximize societal utility ought to be that we should constantly be updating the moral frameworks that we apply to society and the values that we sort of instill within our culture and so on. I feel like these things should be constantly updated as to as we gain more information about what sorts of practices and norms do and don't maximize societal
I would
utility.
totally,
And I
I would
just feel like
totally agree.
religion.
And religion does the
I just feel
opposite
like
of that.
religion, like yeah, like it sort of ties us to moral standards of the past, and resists any change by claiming that these outdated moral standards are like the word of God and like absolutely necessary, which just seems like a really bad meme, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it makes us like put our moral system and go like buy a book, like literally buy the book, and that book could like easily just be wrong, which I would say we've already seen that a lot of the morals that stem from religious text are like wrong. The consequences of them lead to bad things for humanity and whatnot. And if you're stuck to that, there's no like evolving. Like there's no like figuring out what's wrong and then changing it, because you're stuck to it. Because if you're not, you're gonna go to hell or whatever.
Yeah, and not only that, but it also seems like religion not only kind of keeps us back on a moral and philosophical level, but even on a material level as well at times. Because when you look at the influence religion has on politics and how it's been used not only in the past but also in the present, like religion has always been like a massive opponent to, say, even the most bare basic of progressive politics. Like the history of like anti-communism has always been based in deep religious fervor at times.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholas just sent something, and he was like, someone mentioned this before, but it really feels like religion can often be used to justify regressive ideas for the sake of being, or a way of life that isn't grounded in a material reality, which is like exactly what we are just saying. Like it allows us to like continuously like stick to things that we know are wrong because it's the word of God or
Right,
whatever.
yeah,
it's just
sure.
it's just super like problematic. It's why secularism's important, and why we should probably have more atheists represented in the government. Just to at least have the point of view that will sit there and defend secularism.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, Nicholas, join the Discord. Jump in here, buddy. Eli was supposed to come play video games with me. What the heck?
Listen, you know,
Eli, dude, what a fucking Weasley.
What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
Fucking
you know how
secular Buddhist ass. Fucking.
you know how religion is cringe. Nicholas Fuentes is deeply religious and therefore cringe. That's how you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, it is funny, like you say that as a meme, but Nick Fuentes is such a good example of this. Because, like, at the end of the day, Nick Fuentes will never be able to justify any of his beliefs on an empirical or logical ground, and will always just fall back to, well, God says so, so, this is, what's right. And like, that is the problem, is that if you believe in religion, and you believe that your religion says what you think it says, then, like, you don't need to logically justify anything that you believe, because, like, it's the word of God, it's divine. And I think that's just, like, a really harmful thing, I guess.
Not only that, but religion also restricts like personal freedom. Like there was so many people I met in my life that were closeted gay or even like trans, but never wanted to like introspect whatsoever because they were like very religious or they came from a very religious household. And whenever I would speak to them, it was almost like they were on the cusp of just saying it, but they didn't want to. And it was only after like years later they kind of say like when they get into when they get into college and all, they're like, yeah, I came out as gay. Yeah, I came out as trans. And my parents finally got to accept me after that, despite being religious, which is good for them. But it's the fact that it took so long for them to kind of get past that contradiction of being religious and being gay at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes it harder for like people to accept themselves if they like bound themselves to like some sort of a moral framework that they can't like logically argue against.
Using our favorite Catboy chaser, Nick Fuentes, I would not doubt that he's gay. I would not doubt that he is 100% gay and that he's
Who?
lying to himself. Nick Fuentes.
Oh.
Yeah,
Um,
Catboy Cammy.
I don't know.
don't know.
I don't know if he's actually gay. I do think it's
I-
funny to like joke about it, but I don't know if he actually is.
Yeah, I don't like to, like, I guess assume. I don't want to, like, armchair psychoanalyze people, but I don't know. It would be pretty fucking funny if he
that's
was.
interesting. But that's still interesting because
Yeah, for sure.
Catboy Cammy, for example, acts like the gayest human being possible, but is an open neo-Nazi.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't the Catboy like way worse than Nick Fuentes himself?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
didn't Catboy Cammy literally, like, do streams where he would just, like, do blackface and scream at black people on Omegle
Oh, yeah.
while, like, eating
Oh, yeah.
Kentucky Fried Chicken and shit? Like,
Oh, yeah, he-
wow, nice. Wow, that's so edgy. Like, wow, hilarious. I'm
Yeah, like-
laughing.
I'm
That was-
laughing.
I fucking hate that shit. I fucking hate people who, like, think that just being edgy is, like, a substitute for being funny.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
like,
Edgy
if you're
can't
just,
be the
like- if
whole
you're just,
joke.
like-
It has to be an aspect
Yeah,
of the joke.
exactly. Like if you're literally just doing blackface and eating KFC and watermelon and shit, like you're literally just recycling memes from like 20 years ago. Like nothing is funny here. Nothing is original. Like you're just relying on people who think that whatever is like racist is therefore like hilarious. I don't know. That shit really like that shit gets me. As someone who really enjoys being edgy and as someone who enjoys comedy and as someone who really enjoys edgy comedy, I fucking hate it when people think that like being edgy is comedy. Like it's so fucking annoying.
It's sort of
Yeah.
like a bastardization of being edgy. Like
Yeah.
when people just make the whole joke being edgy. Like it's supposed to be an aspect. It's supposed to be something that like makes the punchline hit a little harder or something. But if you're just
Yeah.
saying things because you think they're edgy, it doesn't make it funny.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the one thing I really hate is like edgy jokes that have a point. Like say someone who's trying to satirize like say being a racist and they be edgy by doing so. Like a good example of this would be Blazing Saddles. It was like a very edgy humor where some of the white actors would like call like some of the other black actors like the N-word and stuff like that. But it was used as a means to make fun of people like that. And
Yeah.
that kind of humor is kind of like looked down upon by some people, despite like it clearly having a point.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's my issue is like a lot of the time I agree. Like I'm not full like anti SJW like fucking edgy boy over here. Like I do think that there is an issue because like okay, so like I think Stone Toss is a great example where like if you look at Stone Toss's comics, he does make jokes and they are funny. I will admit that. Like Stone Toss is a very clever person in the way that he sets up his jokes and like the punch. I do find him like very, very clever and very funny. But at the same time, like there's clearly a political motivation behind his jokes. And it is very clearly, reprehensible and very far right. But and like I do get that, and I do think there is an issue with that, and there's an issue with disseminating that type of humor, which is very clearly reinforcing like far right beliefs. But also at the same time, I feel like a lot of lefties in particular have sort of like taken that and used that premise to justify like any usage of like edgy humor at all, which I just think is like probably dumb.
I mean, the only solution as a lefty is just simply just be as edgy as humanly possible and just don't care what people say. Just do the
Wow,
come
that's
down.
pretty edgy.
Take the come town route, which is just being extremely edgy to a
Yeah,
point
just
to
being
where,
so
like,
edgy that you accidentally get a right wing following.
and then like ban half of them.
I think that's something that's important to keep in mind too with being edgy is like I think Vosh talked about this with Count Dankula or whatever, and it's like you have to look at the audience who you're making like some of your jokes to. Like are you poking fun at racist by like making a joke that could seem sort of racist, but it's the intent is to make fun of racists themselves? Or are you just making a racist joke and you have your audience just
basically
like
what I'm saying.
yeah, just reciprocating it. Like it really depends on like who you're delivering the joke to and how they're taking it. Like
Yeah.
that's such
That's
a
where it gets
core
really
like element.
messy. That's where it gets really messy. And I think I was talking to Alex about this the other day. And it's like, I feel like personally, like, and this isn't to be like self-aggrandizing. I've just really been really into comedy for like a really long time. And I feel like I have a pretty good ability at like understanding the intent behind certain jokes. But like, I think it gets weird when we try to understand how other people are going to react to something, because I could very clearly imagine myself making a joke that's like pretty edgy, but like the intent is obviously to like be anti-racist, and nonetheless that could still be interpreted by some people as racist, in a sense that and the real issue for me isn't the issue for me isn't lefties finding jokes racist and getting offended. The issue is right wingers finding jokes racist and using them to reinforce their own racism. Like that's the big issue, and it just seems really hard to like, I guess, avoid that. I don't know. It's complicated, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. Speaking of that, there's someone posting a meme of the I remember when PewDiePie said the N-word when he was playing
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just really convenient. I got on Twitter for like 1 second and that was like the first meme that popped up as someone like making fun of that. Edginess is just difficult. Like I don't think we should just be anti-edgy, which I know like a lot of lefties do, because I think that leaves like a ton of people like out to go find where they can be, make an edgy comment, and then that's gonna be, your 4chans and your whatever other like alt-right like spaces. It's just like, but we also don't want to be like reinforcing like actual like racism or other forms of like oppression. There's like a
It's a tightrope.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing you just simply do is like tell a joke, and when everyone is like not laughing, just say like, "Oh, I was just kidding. I was just kidding," and that's how you do it. Just like fill the room.
Yeah. I really
Just
don't
be
want to play Valorant anymore.
be Schrodinger's douchebag, which is every time you say something, decide if it's a joke or not, depending on people's reaction.
I started reading Capital today. That's fun. I've read like a chapter or two before, but I decided I'm like taking it on one way through.
Wow. Have you figured out why capitalism is bad yet?
Okay, let's find out.
All right.
I've been
Let me know what you
Chapter
see.
18, different formula for the rate of surplus value. Underneath this, it says capitalism is bad because it's bad. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit! You are in so many discords.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! I can't even imagine being in that many discords.
I have like most
Oh
of
my
them like
fucking
muted
God.
because I can't.
Oh,
I
you're
can't
in
deal with
is that the Fin Bowl discord?
Yeah, dude, it's so bad. Oh my god. I got like a ping once that was like, okay, we're reading about Juche or whatever, and I was like, oh my
What?
All right, guys,
Oh,
we're gonna read the collected works of Xi Jinping.
Yeah, I love that you like they have like a ranking system for their roles where it's like um
Oh no.
non
no.
like non Marxist Leninist socialist, and then there's like almost Marxist Leninist, and then there's like Marxist Leninist, and you're supposed to work your way up. Like you're supposed to start at the
Oh
bottom and become a Marxist Leninist, and it's just like
Oh no.
and then they're like I watched recommendations of like what they tell people to read, and it's all like Mao, Stalin, maybe some Lenin, like maybe One Piece by Marx, and I'm just like
It's actually astonishing to me how
Dude,
how
dude, that is literally the POV you've never felt the touch of a woman meme right there.
Yeah.
That is
It-
it.
it is actually astonishing to me though, like how just how blatantly like MLs and like MLMs just completely misunderstand every single aspect of Marxist theory. Like it's fucking
are you telling me
crazy to me.
socialist commodity production doesn't exist?
Have you read even worse? Okay, I know like a lot of people who are like anti-ML, anti-Maoist. They like to harp really hard on like that sort of thing. They like to harp really hard on like you think that socialism can have commodity production, like that kind of thing. My biggest issue is like, have you read any of Stalin's works on like dialectical materialism or any of Mao's works on dialectical
I like got like
materialism?
a small piece of it, and I talked to I think it was Yusuf recently about that, and like he like has no idea what the fuck he was talking about. I can't remember the quote, but it was so
Yeah.
bad. Like it was
Yeah.
so fucking bad. I think he said like dialectical like um what was it? I can't even remember, but he it's just bad. It's just awful. I wish I could remember what the quote was. It was something about like how dialectics are in opposition to idealism, and I was like, what?
What?
like
I mean-
Hegel was an idealist, and he was the one who like formulated the whole like dialectic that
Yeah,
everyone's
for
trying to talk
sure.
about. Like,
It just like it's just so crazy to me. Like basically, like I've one of the because okay, so you remember when Tyrov used to be a fucking tanky? Actually, I don't think you were there.
I did
But
not know him,
anyways.
but I did know that he was a Maoist at one point.
Yeah, he was a huge fucking tanky, and like I was like a learning Marxist at the time. Still am, obviously.
You're
But
never done.
yeah, of course. But I was like asking Tyler, I was like, "Do you have any recommendations on like what I can read to better understand dialectical materialism?" And he was like, "Bro, read Stalin's text on fucking dialectical materialism." And I read it, And like at first I was like, okay, maybe I probably disagree in some places, but like generally speaking. But like the more I've read about dialectics, like the more like childishly crude Stalin and Mao's interpretations of it have begun to seem to me. Like it's literally like I don't even know how to describe it. It's such a like rude bastardization of the way that Marx applied his like dialectical method. It's like actually insane.
Yeah, he also said something really dumb about historical materialism too. I can't remember what it was either, but I just remember Yusuf like read this off to me because he was asking me if I like agreed with it, like if it was right or whatever. And I remember I went on a fucking like tirade because I was like, no, like this guy doesn't know what he's talking about like whatsoever. Like
Yeah, for sure.
I think I remember it was this like thing that when Stalin was moving up in the Bolshevik Party, he was a peasant. He never like got any formal education, and one of the Bolsheviks was like, "Hey, I'll teach you how to do dialectics," and Stalin like failed badly at understanding it and got so mad he just gulagged him when he got in power. He just gulagged the guy who was trying to teach him because he got so pissed off with him.
I wouldn't be
It
surprised.
kind of reminds me. Did you guys ever hear about how Trump in like high school beat the shit out of his music teacher because he said she didn't know anything about music or something?
What?
Gang.
Fucking dumbass bitch doesn't even understand shit.
Dude, here's a hot take. I'm getting very close to just simply saying that I've been kind of like reading more in theory. I've been reading more on like say the positions of Lenin, the positions of people like Kropotkin and such. And I kind of noticed that like in some instances, like Lenin and Kropotkin kind of agreed on certain issues. And it was just very interesting. Like they did actually meet together.
What did Lenin and Kropotkin agree on?
I was reading how like Kropotkin praised how like the Bolsheviks were like at the first time like making this massive effort in their revolution and kind of saw them as rightfully the pushers of like the social revolution that he wanted very much. And he also did like believe firmly that the Bolsheviks were going to be helpful in the co-op movement in Russia.
Yeah, I feel like they probably would have disagreed on a good bit as well, though.
They disagreed on a good bit. Like they in their first meeting, they kind of openly said, "Okay, we both disagree on a lot of things, but we do agree on the general goals and some organization." And that was like it.
Left unity.
It was just very interesting how like Lenin and Kropotkin was just very like cordial to each other and were willing to actually put their differences aside.
Yeah, some good left unity. I don't believe in left unity. Okay, it's a spook. I've concluded this. Everyone's wrong but me. I'm the only real leftist.
So I feel like left unity could work if every lefty agreed with me.
Yeah, exactly. Like they would all have to agree with me in order for it to work. Since they don't, left unity's a spook, okay?
I don't know. Like I hear people talk a lot about like, oh, you have to make compromises, but it's like, like maybe I'll start compromising if you guys stop being so fucking stupid about literally
I'll
everything.
start compromising the moment we like actually all realize what the fuck socialism is. Like it's kind of hard to like compromise on like how we get there if we don't even like fully agree with what we're trying to like get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one thing I did like somewhat appreciate in the talks between each other was how Lenin and Kropotkin simply disagreed on say like, oh, like Kropotkin had an issue with like how Lenin was very much into the bureaucrat. He kind of like the bureaucratization of the revolution, which Lenin did take some issue with because the whole idea was to try to remove some elements of the old government. But Lenin was actually willing to admit that there were some failings on that issue. like I think left unity is possible if both sides are willing to have some good faith discussion and have good faith willing to admit when they're wrong, even when in praxis.
Yeah, I just think it's really hard to do. Maybe it's just the online left, but it's like I try to correct, say, an ML on like something about Marx, for instance, and then I get like called a left com and like get told that I'm infantile or whatever bullshit, and I'm like, I can't even talk to you people.
Did you guys see that hot take by that person who was like, by the way, Lenin calling his book Left-Wing Communism and Infantile Disorder is ableist as fuck if you think about it. And it's like, dude, fuck
He's-
off, okay? Like, I don't think people in like the 1920s were like fucking concerned about ableism and shit. Like, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, yeah, obviously ableism is bad, but the idea that like we should be critiquing like fucking dead fucking philosophers who were alive like 100 years ago for like not living up to current standards of wokeness just seems so silly to me.
Well, it's to me, it's like even like with Marx, with like some of like the offhand comments he had, and people are like, well, we got to throw Marx out now because he said something anti-Semitic, and it's like, okay, yes, that's bad. We
Come
realize
on,
that
guys.
now.
He just had one heated gamer moment. Calm down.
Come on.
I think Stalin was a little transphobic, just a little.
Just maybe maybe a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, Stalin was trans. I can tell based on his fingers.
I feel like Stalin would be a cute femboy.
Young Stalin, yeah.
Yeah. No, old Stalin. Old Stalin as a femboy. That's what I
yeah.
want.
Oof. Mwah.
Now,
Fucking chef's kiss from me, dude.
Oh my god. I just
Fucking
I don't understand how people like see like the faults of Stalin, like, and still like take him as like one, like he was actually creating socialism, and then two, like he's like some serious theorist when he can't even
Wait,
like
he did create socialism.
shut the fuck up, Mouthy. We'll ban you right now from your own Discord server.
No, fuck. You know, the problem with Stalin is that
Stalin?
Stalin's henchman was Lenin, okay? And if your henchman was Lenin, you're not a good guy.
I want to debate Jordan Peterson on Marxism.
I fucking hate Jordan Peterson.
Can we set that up?
I want to fucking, that might be a little too far.
Dude, like, he's dying.
I want to fuck,
mean,
I was just
he's
gonna say, I want to
gonna die soon.
fucking
You better
pop
hurry up.
benzos with Jordan Peterson. Sounds lit as fuck.
Dude, okay, is his daughter like actually killing him? Is this really
Yeah.
happening? I've been
Dude,
seeing so many people
His
say that.
daughter, his
Yes, he's
fucking,
actually dying. Holy shit.
dude, his fucking daughter literally went to a fucking Serbian dance party at like a Serbian nightclub with no
got, like,
mask and
got-
like no
and
social distancing
and
while
got
her
fucking
father is actively fucking dying. Like,
and to
holy
top it all
shit.
off, got dicked down by this weird like transphobic Stalinist who is like telling her, "Yo, you need to
Didn't you see he had a demon in him?
Yeah, his name is
Yes.
Igor. Yeah.
Igor?
Yeah.
Does that work? Can you actually like hook up with people by saying that? Will people actually
Bro,
be
he's
attracted to that?
Dude, he's fucking mysterious. It's sexy.
No. He just walked up to him. No. You know what? You want to know how he seduced her? He walked up and said, "You know, the Holodomor didn't happen." That's how he really did it.
You know, I think a lot of these statistics about like the Soviet death toll are really inflated, and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm fucking flooding."
The panties just drop immediately.
Yeah.
We can't go to the apartment. We have to do it right here, right now. Meet me in the bathroom. Meet me in the bathroom.
And then the moment he like whispers in her ear, "I have a demon inside me, and his name is Igor." It's just like she's already came. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, for sure.
And then when they, then she says, "Okay, my dad's Jordan Peterson. We're gonna go meet him," and he's like fucking dying on like the bed, and he just walks up and said,
I just
I heard you don't like socialism. Let me tell you about socialism," and just like starts denying the Holodomor to his face.
Hey, Jordan Peterson, do you want to meet Igor?
I just can't imagine like a funnier like I can't even imagine like this is just like such perfect fucking comedy. Like I can imagine a funnier scenario than Jordan Peterson, the public academic who has literally built his career off of not just hating socialism, but like specifically hating Stalin in the USSR and talking about how many like millions of deaths occurred under the USSR and so on. And like, and then his fucking daughter is getting married to a fucking Stalinist. Like, that's so
Holy
fucking funny.
shit!
Do you think he was like
That is
against it, and
so
that's why
funny.
she's killing him?
Yes.
like he's like I won't give my whatever it is. What is it? What is it where the dad like gives permission that you can get married or whatever?
Oh, I don't know, some gay
It's
shit.
a blessing.
Oh yeah, he's like I won't give my blessing, and she's like, oh well, Dad, have a few more benzos. Just keep taking them.
Either that or it's
No,
4
and then-
p.m. honey, time for your steak.
Time for your steak.
And then, like,
But,
Walks up,
I do
she
feel
walks
like,
up to him as he's dying and says, "This is what you get for not saying trans rights."
Go.
And then
How fast do you think you can lose weight if you're on the Jordan Peterson diet? You know, just benzos and steak.
just crush up benzos and steak, snorting that shit as you eat steak.
dude, I want to fucking if fucking drugs are ever legalized, I'm gonna fucking open up a restaurant and I'm gonna fucking serve a Jordan Peterson dinner where you just get like a bunch of benzos and then like some meat.
I'll totally show up, dude.
And then
I'll
you-
bring
you
12 rules for
walk in-
life. Can you have like
And
live
also-
12 rules for life
Rule
readings or something?
13, always have a hefty meal if you're gonna pop your benzos. You don't want to do it on an empty stomach.
Rule 2: don't be afraid to kick small children at the playground.
Dude, didn't Jordan Peterson unironically like
Yes.
advocate for beating children?
Yeah,
in his
didn't he
book?
say don't let your children become people you wouldn't like? Like
Yeah, and he
And
like
then
said,
he
"Yeah,
advocated that, like, you know, these socialist libtards who say you shouldn't beat the fuck out of your children really just don't understand discipline. Like that
No,
kind
no,
of
it
like
wasn't-
you gotta
it
clean
wasn't-
your room.
It wasn't like he had this weird fantasy where like he was gonna like curb stop this 2-year-old for like stepping on his daughter's hand. Like this weird fantasy he came up to like beat the shit out of some kid. It was
Dude.
hilarious.
You know what my favorite Jordan Peterson story is he was talking about like when he was first getting into like psychology, and he talked about how he was starting to get like really into like Freud, like Sigmund Freud, and he talked about how he was like, yeah, but then I started to not be so into Sigmund Freud. And then he was like explaining how he just felt like Sigmund Freud didn't like understand his like his situation as well, or that like it didn't really resonate with his situation. And then he wrote this story about a dream he had as he was becoming disillusioned with Freud. And apparently this dream is according to him what sort of pushed him away from like being like a follower of Freud to the same extent. And apparently the dream went like this. So he's like sitting in a basement with his cousin, who he describes as like sexy as fuck, right? And then he there's like a nuclear fallout, and he like goes out, and there's like dogs walking on their hind legs and shit because the world has descended into chaos. And people are like serving human meat as food, and Jordan Peterson starts eating it, and then he realizes that he's eating his sexy cousin, and it's like that's
As
just
he's-
so fucking hilarious because that is the most Freudian shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, do you think
Like-
Jordan Peterson has like a cannibalism and incest fetish?
I don't know. My favorite takeaway from that story is when you hear Jordan Peterson dramatically talk about the realm of chaos. He's imagining in his head like dogs walking around on their hind legs.
The most terrifying thing I can imagine.
That's the wildest thing you can think of.
Not like a
That's it.
worldwide Holocaust, but dogs
We are
fucking
truly-
walking.
We are truly in chaos if the dogs are walking.
Wait, Maldy, you could probably answer this. Didn't like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson like have a talk, and like Sam Harris like got really pissed off with Jordan Peterson or some shit?
Yeah,
I think they
mean,
did. Was that the one about like truth or whatever?
Yeah.
I've
they've
never
done, like,
watched
they've
it.
debated,
I just
They've
know about it.
debated or talked like 5 times.
Oh wait, there was an email exchange, and like Sam Harris like showed the email, and he was like, "Dude, what the fuck are you talking about?"
Oh wait, are you talking about? Because I know that there was like this big dramatic email exchange between Sam Harris and fucking Noam Chomsky. Like, is that what you're thinking of?
I think
Wait, that
that's what it was.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was
Like,
something
fucking-
like it was something like Jordan Peterson was talking about dragons and shit, and like Noam Chomsky's like, "Dude, what the fuck are you talking about?"
No. It was. I think it was Sam Harris and Noam Chomsky.
You know, guys,
But I don't
sometimes
know.
you just gotta like
The same
know
thing
about
could
the
have happened with
dragons.
Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris. That's entirely possible. Sam Harris loves making public private email exchanges. Like that's what he did to Noam Chomsky because they were arguing about like foreign policy over email, and it was so funny because they're both like these fucking boring ass fucking academics or whatever, but they were like insulting each other. Like I think Noam Chomsky said some shit like "You're not as smart as you think you are, Sam," and just like a bunch of fucking insults.
Look,
I was
like
hoping
old man insults.
Yeah.
I was hoping Noam Chomsky would say like, "Dude, you just need to stop hating brown people. Please stop."
Why do you hate brown people, Sam? Answer the question. Why
No,
can't
I'm
you
gonna start
answer?
emailing Chomsky so I can argue with him.
Yeah, do it. He doesn't. He responds to most of his emails. But
Did you see his take on Marxism?
Yes. It makes me want to put a fucking bullet in my brain.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, come on, Gnome, come on.
He just doesn't know shit about Marxism, and he I guess pretends that he does. It's kind of cringe.
Dude, that guy's so old. Holy shit. Every time I see him, I'm like, this guy is literally like a bag of bones.
Yeah, he looks like he's like transforming into like the three-eyed raven from fucking
Game of
like, Game of
Thrones.
Thrones.
I always think he looks like he's like turning into like Ditto, like back into just like mush, but like human mush.
Holy shit, dude! What?
What?
Noam Chomsky. I looked up Noam Chomsky because I feel like Noam Chomsky has like literal grandchildren at this point. Like that's how fucking old he is. And
He has
like
great grandchildren.
I looked up yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, great grandchildren. And so I looked up Noam Chomsky granddaughter, and the first thing I see is quote, "Whoa, Noam Chomsky's granddaughter is cute." Like,
What?
I don't know. It's a weird. That's gonna be a weird champ for me.
Weird champ.
We're gonna look this up. We're gonna read this together.
I too post online articles simping for the daughter of like a 90-year-old academic. That's a fucking pro gamer move right there.
Yeah, Chomsky really did like fucking. When I read that like piece about Marxism, I think it was Nicholas who sent it to me. I was just like so fucking. I was like, you're kidding me. I would expect more from Chomsky. I think though he just like is conflating like the sort of like Marxist-Leninist sort of strain of Marxism, because the way he like talks about it, he's something like how it's like cult-like and things like that, and I don't really see that in just like
30 seconds left.
normal like Marxist, I guess. Like
I mean, we
I
have
kinda
to
do.
we have to like kind of look at it from this. Noam Chomsky's been a part of like the left movement ever since like the 60s and 70s. And back then, if you consider yourself like a Marxist or a communist, you were most likely like a weird tanky dipshit or something. Like
Yeah.
that was probably his idea of what a Marxist was.
Yeah, I think
for
it's
sure.
fair. I just wish he wouldn't like know
Like,
what
if
know what he
if-
was saying. I guess, especially because it's Chomsky and like he's like an authority on these type of things. Like people are gonna take what he says with like a whole ass pile of salt, you know.
Yeah.
And also, you have to like think of it like back then. Like if you went into like a Soviet building, there was like a giant portrait of Marx like in every building at some points, and it's kind of like, okay, this is kind of like a cult. This is probably a cult. That's like that's the vibe you get from it.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could get like how some strains of Marxism could come off that way. Like you got your Marxist-Leninist circle, you got your left com circle, which are both bad
Oh
for
my
totally
God.
different reasons.
Yeah.
Oh my God! The
For
other
sure.
day,
Like,
oh,
I-
the
I-
other
I
day I
sort of
got
get-
like
sorry, what?
I find them
the other day I got like a lot of people mad because I posted a meme on my story, and it was like a picture of Vosh and like a Hearts of Iron 4 like focus tree being finished. And the focus tree said the new Marx. And so many people like DM'd like mad as shit about that. And I'm like, dude, it's just a joke.
The hate
Like,
towards Vosh is so fucking annoying because the people it
It's
comes from,
so weird.
the people it comes from too, it just bothers me because Vosh, look, we can levy criticisms at Vosh all we want, but he's literally done more than like most people have for like the left, at least like especially online. Like half the online leftists like talking shit about Vosh haven't done like anything except for
Yeah, the
tweet about
problem-
not liking Vosh.
The problem with
you know,
like
Jesse
dipshit
Grant?
lefties on Twitter is that they don't even like if you say like, oh, people like Bernie have done a lot for socialism, or oh, people like Vosh have done a lot for socialism, like and obviously these people have done completely different degrees when it comes to how they've helped socialism, but like the issue is like that's never going to be received. That argument is never going to be received by left comms because they don't think that the kinds of progress that people like Vosh or to a much bigger extent Bernie Sanders, they don't view the kinds of progress these people have made as like any actual meaningful form of progress, because they're basically stupid as fuck. I guess is the main takeaway
Dude,
here.
it's like socialism or bust.
Yeah, true.
Instant socialism or bust. It's just
The one thing that like disappointed the shit out of me was like how, especially on like Politigram, how it's mostly morphed into like this weird like anti-Voss cult at times, where if you shit talk Voss, it's like automatically like you're considered this genius of some kind.
Yeah.
Jesse Grant put out like an entire post accusing Voss of being like a bell curve race
What?
realist out of nowhere.
What?
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
No, look at it. And I read it and I was like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? And like people are agreeing with them. Fucking
Yeah.
left
Dude,
It's because these people
yeah,
don't actually watch Vosh. Like
It's
anyone who
so
levies
weird.
things like that literally hasn't watched him because he's literally debated like race realist on the bell curve.
Yeah.
Like he isn't someone who's like pushing the bell curve by like any means.
No. The
It's-
argument was this. The argument was this. Voss one time said black people tend to have lower IQs. Huh. You know who else says that? Charles Murray. Coincidence? Like it was
That's so
that
fucking
level of like
stupid.
dumbass. Like I almost like said you're a fucking retard. I almost just said that in the comments because it was just so fucking stupid. Like
I
there's
don't want to.
when you're dealing with people like that, there's no other way to get to them than just to be ableist to them. There's no other way.
I don't want to hijack the convo, but do you want to play Avalon?
Yeah, I'd be down. I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna stop the stream because who knows how Avalon's gonna go.
I'll just watch your screen so I can know who you are.
was gonna say. Just
Oh yeah,
so I
yeah,
can see what
yeah.
you are.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. Okay,
Guys,
I'm gonna
I
end it.
found Merlin.
I think that at one point Iron